I've noticed that suddenly there are lots of little e-scooters around. And I wonder why. As I delve into it, I discover that they're part of something much wider. When I look carefully, I see that most of the scooters are coral-coloured, but not all of them. It turns out that the coral-coloured e-scooters are owned by a company called Voi, and they're part of an e-scooter hire scheme trial that began in September 2020. The introduction of the hire scheme was inspired by a crisis of alarming levels of air pollution. In 2019, Birmingham City Council declared a climate emergency and made a commitment for Birmingham to become a net zero carbon city by 2030. One way to reduce carbon emissions is to stop using cars for short journeys. So Birmingham City Council is encouraging alternative ways to travel. Private e-scooters are easy to buy, but it's illegal to ride one anywhere except on private land with permission. So new laws had to be brought in to make it legal to have an e-scooter trial. The purpose of the e-scooter trial is to find out whether e-scooters can provide an alternative to the car for short journeys. In this film, I'll show what I'm learning about e-scooters and how the trial's going. I wanted to know how the system worked and what it was like riding an e-scooter, so I asked my husband Nick to have a go.
It was straightforward, hiring the scooter. I had to download the app on my smartphone, take a photograph of my driving license, provide my credit card details, and away I went.
At the time of making this film, there's been a huge uptake of the scheme, with over 500,000 rides in Birmingham in the first year. Riders are clearly enthusiastic, but perhaps because they're new and unfamiliar, the sudden influx of e-scooters has led to some concerns. There have been complaints about e-scooters being an eyesore and dangerous. They're sometimes parked badly, and this can be a hazard, especially for wheelchair users and the blind. Voi are actively addressing this problem.
We have a team of rangers who work on behalf of Voi to come and move scooters that are left inappropriately parked and to reposition them across the city. At the end of the ride, you have to take a photo of where you've left the scooter, and if you leave that scooter somewhere parked incorrectly once, twice or three times, you're fined and then eventually banned from using the app.
In recent months, they've also introduced dedicated parking rags. What do people in Birmingham feel about e-scooters on the streets?
See, I've had an e-scooter go past me like that, and I could have knocked him over, or he could have knocked me over, but they go quite fast.
I think it's a great way for kids to get from point A to point B, but that being said, I was almost run over by one yesterday.
The elderly people can't get out of the way.
It's against the law to ride them on the pavements, but I'm not sure how often the police take any action. In other countries, like France and Spain, the law is enforced with hefty fines. Bicycles and e-scooters are allowed on pedestrianised streets. Voi use clever technology to stop scooters going above 5 miles an hour in some of these areas. And it's not difficult for the rider to stop the scooter.
So this is the accelerator, which you press down like that. And when you release it, it does slow down quite quickly. But if you need to stop immediately, then it's got brakes like a bike.
But there's still the problem that scooters are very quiet, so you can't hear them behind you.
We're actually trialling a number of scooters at the moment with a noise sensor which can tell you when a scooter is close. So it'll make a sort of bleeping noise.
What about e-scooters on the road?
I have seen a lot of people riding them in the streets, going through red lights.
I had to go left to get into the car park, and at that precise moment, a young man on an e-scooter very, very quickly undertook me, and I came this close to taking him out.
Riders have to be over 18 and have a full or provisional driving licence. But sadly, some of them do ride irresponsibly. Watch this pair going through a red light and heading the wrong way up a one-way street. That's bad, but it's about rider recklessness, not about the basic safety of a scooter. I'm pleased to say that most of the riders that I've seen are careful. Even so, they're vulnerable on roads shared with cars. Dedicated cycle lanes are the safest option, and the good news is that Birmingham is building more of these. Are e-scooters a good thing?
No, I think they're lethal and should be banned in public areas.
I think if people do them right, they're brilliant. If people are whizzing around and knocking into people, and that isn't right.
I find it easy to ride and it's fun. It feels stable and therefore safe, and you can stop quite quickly and also get off easily. In fact, more easily than you can with a bike. For short journeys, it is a good alternative to using a car or public transport. I ride a bike and I like to use a bike for exercise, but if I was going somewhere and I didn't want to arrive all sweaty, then the e-scooter would be just the job.
The e-scooters in the trial are net zero carbon. In a rider survey, 31% of respondents said they would otherwise have used a car to complete their journey. It's clear that users love them. I believe they're here to stay, and that private e-scooters will soon be made legal. So let's hope the necessary infrastructure will be put in place and that safety rules will be enforced.